Hey guys, good morning people of YouTube. Well, good afternoon. I'm getting a late start today. I've had a busy day with my day job and whatnot. If you have any interest in knowing what my day job is, you can contact me on Twitter at Chapadong or hit me up in Slack in the VIP section of the DFSArmy.com. This is not my day gig. I'm not a professional DFS player. I am a coach and contributor for DFSArmy.com, probably becoming your one-stop shop for all things related to DFS. If you're out there in Twitter land or you're out there Google searching and you've stumbled across this, first of all, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for giving me a listen. But second of all, you need to go to the link in the description, dfsarmy.com, and you need to look at what we offer. We have baseball coming, and since Fanduel is pimping baseball all over the place, I expect it's going to be bigger than has been in years past. Might be a lot of fun this year, to be honest with you. But baseball, football, basketball's winding down, hockey's winding down. We've got soccer covered, MMA, we've got NASCAR covered. We got just about PGA, just about, which I also contribute for a little bit. You guys, you can't go wrong with the DFS Army, and it's like, what, $25 a month? There's a coupon code for 20 off. If you enter that, you get 20% off. This is about one of the few times you'll hear me mention that. But most importantly, follow that link in the description, and let's get to the 4-game slate today. There's a whole lot of interesting stuff to talk about, but we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this a little bit later. Perhaps let's jump in to the schedule. This is all organized and ready for us to lock and load. I think I started finding value at about page 4 or 5. If you follow my scoring or my prediction or my research, whatever you want to call it. Sorry, I'm stumbling a little bit. Just had lunch. I'm a little hopped up on some soda. So anyway, first game of the night, Chicago, Pittsburgh, 6 over under. And you've got a couple of goalies here that you don't know what you're going to get out of them all the time. I haven't looked at Andrew Fleury, so let me do that really quick while we're talking about the rest of this game, because to be honest with you, I was expecting Murray to be in the goal for Pittsburgh. But if I look at Marc-Andre Fleury, let's see. Not too bad, little up and down, wins about as much as he loses, doesn't really get torched too much, hasn't had any real 4-game or 5-game blow-ups, but has had some 2s and 3s, so looks like Chicago might score a couple of goals tonight, but I know they haven't been going quite as good. I will tell you that Crawford is, he's kind of up and down himself. He's 8-2. Or at least the Blackhawks are 8-2 in the head-to-head matchup with Pittsburgh. This is a game that I'm interested in, being that it carries that 6 total. The minus 125 doesn't tell me much about goalies. I'm not on either one. I'm looking more at attacking them with skaters. If I did, it looks like a lot of the Pittsburgh guys are hurt, even though they've regained the top spot offensively in the past 4 weeks of fantasy points scoring. They're pumping shots on net. They're back to number 2 in that category. Chicago gives up points, and Chicago gives up shots over the last couple of weeks. So Pittsburgh's in a very, very good spot. Chicago's not some kind of defensive juggernaut right now. But Pittsburgh has some injuries to worry about. I'd be focused. Crosby's not terrible, but he's damned expensive for cash. I don't think you need him at all. Sheary's in a good spot. Bonino is basically Malkin's replacement. If Malkin does not come back tonight, which I don't think he's supposed to, then Bonino's not a bad value play, getting the power play time as his replacement. Hornqvist, these guys are okay. Kessel's not really all that hot lately. Schultz, I don't know which of these guys I'd really focus on other than Bonino if it was me. Over here on the Chicago side of things, a host of guys to pick from. Panarin and Kane are still lighting it up pretty good. Panik and Taves are another good option to run. Your defensemen, Seabrook and Keith, are in good spots. This game could go up and down the ice and be pretty wild. Both teams are good. Both teams are allowing points right now, so there's that. Moving over to LA and Calgary, I will say this: the game started at like a 135 when I looked at the open this morning. It's up to a 143. It hasn't even bounced around. It's pretty much gone straight up. Ben Bishop is not terrible in goal, but the Kings haven't been scoring lately. That makes Brian Elliott probably pretty safe, and Brian Elliott is a pretty decent shutout candidate, to be quite honest with you, on a lot of nights. He put up league-leading shutout numbers in St. Louis when he was our goalie, and when he was splitting time with Jake Allen, both of them combined. Just when he's on, he's on. He's a damn good goalie, and lately he's been on. Calgary is 7-3 in their and they've won their last 2. 7-3 in their last 10. LA is 4-5, and they've lost their last 2. So it's kind of a tale of two teams. You got LA trending down in the points allowed, which actually means teams are scoring against them. They've been ranked 25th, 26th, 27th. They're now ranked 20th. So they're actually allowing more points than usual. That also bodes well for Calgary. Calgary is also trending in that direction. They're ranked 27th in fantasy points allowed. So they're squelching. You put a team that's having a little bit of trouble scoring goals in against a team that's not allowing a lot of fantasy points. Bad sign for LA. Not a team I'm going to be on tonight, even being contrarian. I'm going to be focused more on Calgary and this game over here. If I scroll down to Washington and Colorado, we're getting into the two worst teams in hockey in Colorado and Arizona. And we've got a couple of offensive teams. St. Louis has picked it up a little bit lately. Washington is coming on strong the past couple of. Ignore the Ovi hat trick last night. I'm not going to say it's an outlier, and I'm not even going to say it's not repeatable. It is Ovechkin. But I'm going to say that's not what's determining the trend upward that it's just a sign that Washington's starting to click again. Washington has won 5 in a row. They're a minus 255 favorite in spite of running their backup out there. That's how much confidence Vegas has over here in the Colorado Avalanche. They've won 5 in a row. Colorado's lost their last 6. You've got two teams, Colorado's usually, in terms of shots on goal, fantasy scoring, bottom of the league. And Washington's very, very good at suppressing those points. Washington is going, they're kind of on their way back towards really tightening things up. So I don't expect anything out of Colorado tonight. I do expect Washington to score some points because Colorado allows the second most fantasy points, per game of any team in the league, especially over the last 4 weeks. And it's been pretty much that way all season long. Colorado is terrible. So you want to roster up all of these guys. He's not running as good over the past, say, week or two, but if I was you, I'd start right here with Backstrom. You want to load the first line, go for it. Again, Ovechkin needs like 6 points, 5.5 points on DraftKings to bring value. That's asking a lot. That's asking for a goal and an assist, or it's asking for like 8 shots on goal. That's a little much to ask for a guy on a night in and night out basis. But somebody like a Backstrom, somebody like even an Oshie, Backstrom, if you look at his season-long numbers, has been a phenomenally steady producer. He's going through a little lull now, but he might turn that one around. Second line would be a little bit contrarian. Looking into the defense, you might look in there and then just X out every single Avalanche you find. Jump over into St. Louis and St. Louis and Arizona. One other thing to say. Back over here onto the Washington. Sorry, I'm scatterbrained today. I've been running around, running errands and doing my day job, going crazy. So, and I'm doing this in one take because I got to go pick kids up from school. The Washington and Colorado game. The one thing I will say is that Washington is only 6-4 in the head-to-head matchup here, which means Colorado has stolen 4 games from them. I would say this number is a little bit vulnerable. I wouldn't say load these guys up unless you're running in a big GPP. But I would say bear in mind that it could happen. And over here on the St. Louis side, that's why this ties in. St. Louis actually in their last 10 meetings with Arizona has won them all. They are 10-0, 10-0-0 against the Arizona Coyotes in their last 10 meetings. Eventually the law of large numbers is going to come back and it's going to bite somebody. I mean, you can't beat a team 100 games in a row. It just isn't ever going to happen. Now, is tonight the night where Arizona beats St. Louis? I don't know. What I do know is one of these days it might happen. If you really, really wanted to get crazy stupid, you might load up a couple of Avs and a couple of Coyotes and hope that both things happen in the same night. If they do, you're all alone at the top of a leaderboard. But that is like the longest of long shots. The chalk plays are Washington and St. Louis. If you look at St. Louis lately, Schwartz has really kicked it in. This is actually a value play. Steen and Tarasenko are what they are. And your second line here, well, Payarvi's got moved up to second line, but he really runs more with Barbashev and Sanford. And these guys are dirt-ass cheap. You want to run a Payarvi, you want to run a Barbashev. Barbashev's actually been the better player of late, and he's cheaper. He doesn't have to do anything at under $3K on DraftKings. He gets you, 3 shots on goal, and he's at value. God forbid he scores a point, or something like that. Berglund's a pretty steady guy. I'd be focused more on these players for St. Louis and then Jaden Schwartz. I would not be. So, you run a Berglund with Jaden Schwartz since they're on the first power play unit, and that gets you your cash-safe way of spreading out. Although I prefer, even over Berglund, I prefer Payarvi or Barbashev. Petrangelo's been a pretty damn solid value as well, to be quite honest with you. And I hate saying that because I hate the guy. I think the guy's soft. Defensively, I think he's a very, very overrated player, especially here in St. Louis where everybody seems to love him. I can't stand the guy. But his numbers don't lie, man. He's a cash play. There's no doubt about it. Down here in Arizona, Arizona has a funny way of sneaking up on you when they're at home. And these guys, they can put up some games. I don't really trust a ton of these players, but the one thing that I would look at is I'd look at Goligoski here. And yes, even if I'm running Carter Hutton, who's just as fine a play as Jake Allen at this point in time, the team defense has kept pucks away from the net. And both these guys have made very, very strong saves. Allen's obviously the better goalie, but Hutton's, like 1B. He's not terrible, kind of like the way they used to run with Brian Elliott and Jake Allen last year. Goligoski, even on a 4-game slate, putting Goligoski in against Carter Hutton is not a terrible move. People are going to want to shoot me for that because it's like running some defense against your running back or some crap in football. But to be honest with you, it just isn't that bad. Goligoski at 3.5K needs to get you about 2 points. About 2.5 points. That isn't going to hurt your goalie. He can get that in block shots and shots on goal alone. Nothing even has to go in the net. If he does get an assist, you lose 1 point on your goalie, but you gain 1 point because of the 2 points you get for Goligoski. So it's not anything that's going to even really kill you in a GPP because you're talking about maybe 1 point of correlation that you lose for the possibility of just not needing to do a whole lot to get value. And you want to be a little bit different. That's kind of how you would do it. You put a Goligoski in there against Carter Hutton, and nobody in their right mind is going to run this. And I'm telling you, it's not that bad of a correlation play. So when we're digging through for value, let me not Allen, but Hutton and Brian Elliott for cash are going to be where I am tonight. I like where's Calgary here. I do like the way that Michael Stone's been playing lately. I like Goligoski in Arizona. I like Iginla in LA, believe it or not. The guy's cheap, and he's been playing, okay. He's a little more up and down than I like for cash, but he's not terrible if you need a cheap wing. Martinez or Muzzin in LA are another couple, and then Pietrangelo. These types of guys are guys that I would be reaching for my deeper value. I don't need to get into the actual DraftKings lineup tonight, but if I looked at the top page here, because what I'm trying to get up into is some of these guys up in here. This is 6 points in 8, salary if Malkin plays. I'm looking forward to getting him back in because he's just been super steady. You can see they're performing a little bit better. This is barely bringing value for Crosby, so Crosby's okay. Ovechkin had that huge game last night, which skewed these numbers off a little bit. But, once he gets hot, he could stay hot. Patrick Kane's not too bad. I'm starting to look down into here. There's a 4.5 in Monahan. There's a pretty cheap center for you right here at 4.5. Keep scrolling down. There's 4 points for Justin Schultz. There's 4 points for Jaden Schwartz and Alex Pietrangelo. You could run both of these together in a mini stack and be just fine with it. Gensel's another one. He's day-to-day, coming back from a concussion. So these are the players I'm trying to get a piece of in cash games because they're the ones that are playing well. I check their game logs with DraftKings and kind of go from there. The offenses tonight are very, very obvious. To differentiate, you might look at second and third lines, and you might go to one-offs. You could run one guy from here, one guy from here, one guy from here, one guy from here kind of thing, and really set yourself apart that way. Or you could focus more on the second line guys from a couple of teams, maybe pick a third liner on a power play or something like that. But the offenses that are obvious are Chicago, Pittsburgh, Calgary, Washington, St. Louis to a certain degree. And the power frontline guys are the guys that are going to be your chalky plays tonight. So kind of bear that in mind. If you're trying to get into a GPP, you really only need to be different in maybe a spot or two, and you don't need to take some whack-ass goalie to do it. Just grab yourself like that whole Hutton, Goligoski, or jump down into, maybe pick up Kane and Panarin and then run over here and grab, a third line, Bonino or something. That alone would probably be different enough to set you apart if they go off. So anyway, this is your buddy Chapadong. Not my best quality work today, which I apologize for. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. Check me out on dfsarmy.com and follow me on Twitter at Chapadong, and we will see you when we see you.